Hey guys, so this is about converting to standard form. So, standard form, to be in standard form, the first number must be between 1 and 10, then it must be times 10 to a power. So, an example of a number in standard form would be 2 times 10 to the power of 2. So, there, the first number is between 1 and 10, and then it's times 10 to a power. So, if uh, that actual number then would be, well, 2 times 10 to the power of 2 would be 200. All right, but you can get much more complicated one numbers that are in standard form. So if I had 1.32 times 10 to the power of 7, so that's still in standard form. So the first number, 1.32, that is between 1 and 10, and it's times 10 to a power, which is power 7 in this case. So I'll give you one that's not in standard form then. So if I had 15 times 10 to the power of 2, that's not in standard form because of the 15. So 15 is not between 1 and 10. So let's look at how we convert anyway. So we're going to convert these two numbers in a second, 2789 and then 0.178. So example 1 and example 2. So the steps down here in the bottom, so move the decimal point in the number to make it into a number between 1 and 10. So that's what we're going to do first. So I'm going to take that 2789, and if you don't see the decimal point in a number, then it's always at the end. So it starts at the end. So that's the same number as 2789.0. It's just you don't really need to put in the 0.0. So I'm going to move the decimal point in this case to make it into a number between 1 and 10. So I'm going to move it in between the 2 and the 7, because I know that if I put it in there, that will turn it into 2.789. And that is a number between 1 and 10, 2.789. So it's a number between 2 and 3, obviously. So because I've moved the decimal point in there, we go to the next step. So if it's a small number, starts with 0 point, then the power on the 10 will be a negative. If it is a big number at the start, the power on the 10 will become a positive. So it has to be times 10 to a power anyway. And because this is a big number at the start, it's 2789, the power on the 10 will be positive. And then if you look at the last step, the power will be the number of places that you've moved the decimal point. So in this case, I've moved it 1, 2, 3 places. So 3 will be my power. So times 10 to the power of 3. So 2.789 times 10 to the power of 3. So that's what 2789 is in standard form. Let's look at example 2 then. So again, it's not between 1 and 10 in this case, 0.178, because it's actually a little bit less than 1. So if I'm to move the decimal point there, 0.178, to make it into a number between 1 and 10, I have to move it in between the 1 and the 7. So it's only taking one jump this time. So that makes it into 1.78, and then it has to be times 10 to some power. Now, if you read the second point on the bottom here again, if it's a small number at the start, if it starts with 0 point, which in this case it does because it's 0.178, the power on the 10 will be negative. That means I get a negative power there. And then it's just how many places you move the decimal point. So in this case, I've only moved it one decimal point, so minus 1. So that's the answer. So 1.78 times 10 to the power of minus 1. So if you want to pause the video and just have a go at these two and then play it on, and I'll go through the answers for you. So question 1, it's 1200. So obviously that's not between 1 and 10. So remember, if you don't see the decimal point in a number, it's always at the end. So in order to make this into a number between 1 and 10, I must move it in between the 1 and the 2. So then it just becomes 1.2. And then times 10 to the power of, and because I've moved it 3 places to the left, it's going to be positive 3. And it's a big number at the start. It's 1200, therefore it's going to be positive power. So 1.2 times 10 to the power of 3. 0.001 then. So I must move the decimal point 3 places to the right, because I must put it after the 1 there. Then it would just be 1. So it'll just be 1 times 10 to the power of, and I've moved it 3 places. So I've moved it 3 places to the right, and it was a 0 point number. It was a really small number at the start. Therefore the power is negative. So 1 is allowed, when I say in between 1 and 10, 1 is allowed. So 1 times 10 to the power of minus 3.